Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hera TV. My name is Laleh Hancock, and I'm one of the advisors at Hera. And today we have such a special guest, my friend Deb Beroset. And Deb's had this real adventurous career, and I cannot wait to share her with you all. So, Deb, you started in such an incredible, I would say, world where most would dream of being a journalist. And you moved on from journalism to working with think tanks and working in the PR world. And I'm sure each of those sectors of your life you could write many books about. But can you today just share with our viewers, our Harris supporters, a little bit more about Deb and so that they know a little bit more about you as well?
Sure. And first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate being able to share some of these ideas with people because there's some ideas that I wish I'd run across earlier. So, in terms of my journey, yes, I started out as a journalist. I was an international journalist. I worked in the Middle East for 3 years, taught journalism, and as far as that industry goes, I actually got to the point where, I'm publishing in national magazines and, I my brain was telling me you should be very happy with this and just keep going. And there was something inside me that said, I need, I'm yearning for something else. And it was the first time in my life I ever hired a coach. And what she helped me see was that there were experiences, like characteristics of a work life that I was missing. And one of them was I wanted to be in collaboration with people at the top of their game. I missed that sparking back and forth, and I was just getting a little bored, but I didn't know what to do next. That was always my thing. And so anyway, long story short, when I was able to identify with her help, some of the aspects that my soul was desiring, I started looking out there in the marketplace in a different way. And I wound up being hired by Hallmark. And I wasn't just hired as a writer, which was what I was shooting for. That was the opening that I saw. They said, we're actually going to make you a manager, and we're going to make you the manager of this particular group that is basically our creative SWAT team for the entire global company. It was a dream job. So it was just so fun. I got to work with these cool creative people, and it was just awesome. Branded this thing, the collaboratory. It's still there to this day. But after about 5 years of doing that and working in their new ventures, I realized, there's something that I'm wanting to start doing. And I resigned, and I was about to start my own business. And I was recruited by a personal and professional development company to do their public relations. And I thought, okay, I'll just do it for like 2 years, maybe, right? So guess what? 12 years later, there I am, and I'm like, where has the time gone, right? And awesome job in many, many ways. But here's the thing. I felt that, like, ooh, tick tock, sister. There's some things that you want to be doing, and there's a way you want your life to look that's different from this. And that is when I had some real dark nights of the soul, because I did not have a clear direction. I didn't even know what it was I wanted to move toward. Eventually, you know, I just said, okay, I need to bust a move here. So I tendered my resignation and I started my business, and that was over 5 years ago. And here I am. I'm going to be turning 62 in a couple weeks. And I can tell you, I am more fulfilled now, happier now than I have ever been. And I want that for everyone.
Yeah. Before we pushed play, we were just having a quick chat about each other's backgrounds. And, you described it so beautifully. We start a journey in our lives based on education or something that we thought was going to be our dream job, right? And then we start discovering ourselves more. We learn, okay, these are things I've done, but what are things that actually get me to get out of bed every morning and be energized and creative? And I think a lot of times people, I think in the past, I don't think that the youth does this, but I think our generation did, is that we assumed it was this job for life. And
Yeah.
then if we wanted something different, then there had to be a problem. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is the problem. Instead of, wow, there was something that I was yearning. There was something that I wanted to do. And now I've done it. Now I want to discover other things that are going to make me happy, that are going to make a difference in the world, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, it's been so fun for me. Also, I get to work with a lot of people like you described who are at that place of like, okay, I've been a CEO or I've done this in my life, but I don't know what to do next. Like they're at this crossroad of, I was successful. So how do I not lose my success starting something brand new? And also this stigma of age that is still out there, unfortunately, in the world. Like you were saying, so many things that came around was age related too. By 50, you got to get out, your youth is done and all this other stuff. And I'm proud to say I'm 50 and I'm happy. And 50 means nothing. Most people see me, they think when they see my kids and my twins are 25, they think we're sisters. Age has absolutely nothing to do with this, but having that energy inside you that is motivated, that is healthy, that is inspiring, that's
Yes.
that's what we're missing, in the world. So I'm so grateful for you and your business called, is it Moxie Soul Spa?
Moxie Soul Spa, right. So, we all know about spas where we can go and get a fabulous mani-pedi or a facial. But, what I was missing, what many of us are missing is like, where do you go? Where do you go for finding that inner beauty? Where do you go to tap into what does your soul want? And so, you know what they say, you teach what you need most. So that is exactly what I've been doing. I got, when I left that last corporate gig, and I did some training in something called neurotransformational coaching, and I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. If regular people could understand that these are not character flaws, this has to do with how the standard issue human brain is handed out. Mine, yours, everybody's. If everyone knew that your brain turns uncertainty into fear, that would help so much. So basically, I have it's the Moxie Trilogy. It's a program, 3 programs, and what they're designed for is to work with women through the process that I so wish I had had when I needed it most. And so, first of all, one of the things that we look at is the fact that we are ever evolving creatures, right? Like you said at the top of this whole conversation, we are socialized to think, not so much now, as you said, the younger generations have more of a handle on this evolving thing. But, when we grew up and our peers, it was like, well, you figure out, hopefully by 18, what can you imagine at 18, making a decision like this is what my life is going to be about and then having to stick with that? It's kind of ridiculous when you think of it that way. I think of reinvention as not just a contingency plan when things go sideways or you have an emergency or, I got to come up with something else. I think of reinvention as not a plan B, but a way to be happy and fulfilled. And So we're ever evolving creatures. Why, when you think about it, what would make us think that something that was perfect for us 20 years ago is going to continue to be perfect for us until our last breath? That's kind of crazy. So I think of reinvention as a new, true expression of who we are now. And now here's the rub. It's like, well, who am I now? Right? Who am I now? And I looked around and I was having difficulty finding some kind of structure to guide me through that process. And so I created it. And part of what the big emphasis is on, it's both, part neuroscience, it's part creativity and innovation, and it's part mindfulness and ancient wisdom. It's like bringing the art and science together. And one of the questions that stops people in their tracks early on in this process is, I say, ask yourself, what does my soul want? What does my soul desire? And hardly anybody asks us that. And when you stop and you give that time to just hang in the air, and you give yourself the space and the grace to actually engage with that question, it's amazing what comes out of it. Now, at first, I'll tell you, mostly what happens is a deer in headlights look. Like, I have no idea, right? However, it's kind of like, when the water's been turned off and you go to turn it back on and it's kind of sputtery and there's brown stuff and it's not really great. But you leave the water on and then you get this beautiful clear trickle and then it turns into whoosh, here we go. It's like that. When you start to consciously ask your soul, okay, what do you desire? What do you really want for you? It's like in a conversation where somebody's not listening, you kind of shut down. But when someone is really there and really listening for the gold, suddenly you start to speak and there it is. I say it's like that with our souls. Does that resonate for you at all?
Oh, definitely. And that's one of the beauties I was telling you earlier is, with Harris City, what we're building is that we are going to have lots of different things, including programs, because it is about empowering people to not just feel like they're coming for just support, but what they're actually coming is with tools, resources to empower themselves. And with
So
Hera
amazing.
Wellness, like I was telling you earlier, we are looking at it as a holistic oneness. It's like that wellness of you. Yes, the outside really makes a difference. I mean, when we get our hair done or a facial or a massage, it boosts our whole world.
Oh,
But
I'm all about it.
you also have to include the inner you, like you said. And so we definitely have a lot of those kinds of programs too. And what one thing I love is that the way you described it, sometimes we just need to know someone's there who's not going to judge us and allows our creative thinking to just get started. And
Yes.
most people don't have that. Just like you said, at 18, I can't even imagine. I mean, I got married young, which was not part of the original plan. I was one of those that had already pre-planned my whole life, when I'm going to med school, when I was going to get married, when I was going to have kids and all that. And then poof, fell in love, things happened and all of that went out the door. So
Yeah.
but one thing I found is that even though I'm not a doctor, the wellness, the well-being, this holistic approach of all of you has always been part of my soul, part of my being, just shining, seeing people, smile. And the minute like they have a little bit of confidence, how much that boosts everything,
Mm.
their visual, their mental, their physical, their careers, their finances. And so having someone that can give that is just so important. So
It
important.
it is. And the other thing that I've really gotten so clear on is that there's an epidemic of loneliness in the world. And by the way, I was reading and researching this pre-pandemic. So, now it's more of the conversation that we're all kind of dealing with. But, you know, to be able to deal with these questions, these beautiful questions, by the way, to be able to grapple with these beautiful questions in a supportive community is priceless. I in last year started a community club Moxie, and it's just balm for the soul. And it's actually one of the things that I was so excited about when I learned about Hera is what you're doing is literally creating a community, and the power of that cannot be overstated.
Yeah. One thing I love about the founder, Marinella's vision. The first time I met her in 5 minutes, I knew I wanted to be part of Hera. I
uh,
love the vision of what Hera was looking to create. I mean, how many people can say, let's build a city in a country, multiple countries around the world? And even when the city's not ready yet, let's create this oneness around the world with different things, music, sports, this perfume that we're like, I just love that vision. But one of the things that was really important is we're building this city for humanity. It's not just for women, even though we have such a focus on women, because we believe you empower one woman, you are empowering a whole community, because that one woman is so connected to so many people and so many things. And so, when I think of a community, sometimes there's segregation. It's like, come into my community, therefore we're different. Where I love this idea of Hera is about bringing everyone, no matter age, no matter race, no matter background, no matter religion, no matter your languages, and being able to truly be this United Nations around the world.
oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, as I started learning more about the whole vision and the concept and the project, that was one of the things that just pushed me over the edge. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because when I first heard about it, I thought it was like just for women, right? But when I learned how inclusive it is, and that it's about honoring women and empowering women inside of the whole, I thought, okay, that I'm in, right? I'm in. And by the way, I cannot wait for this perfume to actually be available because I want some. I'm all about the multi-sensory experience, right? And when I learned that there's actually a fragrance, that's a very fun touch.
Well, we got the sneak peek, luckily, the board.
Uh-huh.
So thanks to Marinella. It's currently only available in distribution in like certain events, like when we do certain events, it's available through that. And the scent is amazing. For me, my body's very sensitive to perfumes. So I'm not one that normally purchases perfume, but its aroma is so gentle while so powerful. I think that's the good way of describing it. That your skin type, your scent, your own scent with it is going to bring that uniqueness of each of us, while
Mm,
at the same times it does bring this unity of all of us.
mm.
And I have to say, I'm so grateful for Marinella, who made sure whatever the ingredients were, that they came together. It created a great marriage. So right now, there's a lot of things going on. There's a women's football team. I mean, there's so many things that are going on with Hera, which I'm so excited. But I'm curious, like with what you've heard so far and your own world of what you're creating, like what are some of the ideas you have for Hera City, like in the next 5 to 10 years?
Mm. I would love I would love to see in some form, and given your role with wellness, I think I'm talking to the exact right human being, right? I would love to see something where there's made available to all people, not just women, some kind of beautiful, loving, supportive structure that helps us through some of these periods of reinvention. I would love to see something that not only makes reinvention of ourselves possible, but also honors the very act of transformation as a human being at his or her best. Um, and I see that as probably something that's in the works already. I don't know all the ins and outs, obviously, but that's one thing. Another thing that I would love to see is where there's a intergenerational mix, right? Where women of all ages are are mixing and contributing to each other. You know, I'm a big believer in, the women in the second half of life have so much to offer and share with our younger sisters. And the other thing is, they have so much to share with us. There's something about, that community, of having that tribe, that ancient construct of a tribe has a lot going for it. And I think it would be delicious and beautiful to create, what does that look like in this century?
Well, I have to say, I'm very excited that that's part of the plan. My background, actually, I was an executive in an intergenerational center, the first one that they built in America.
Oh, wow.
And well, the first big one they built in America. And I see the gift so much. Like we used to put adults that had special needs or disabilities with little kids, from birth to 5 years old. And the communion between the two and what they could share with each other was so much beyond words. And so that's one component that we do. We will have partnerships with different organizations so that we are able to bring different kinds of people from communities together, across the age span. But I'm very excited about you and me because I get after this interview, you and I are going to partner together with a lot of different things. And I'd love to see how we can also incorporate that in the Hera City that we're also putting together. So I think there's going to be a lot of different synergies
Yeah,
there.
my little intuition's going whoop whoop, right? So, yeah, the one of the things that I talk about in a program, the two neural networks, and in Moxie we call them the inner muse and the inner manager. And right now my inner muse is like, oh, there are beautiful things afoot, and my inner manager is saying, what's next? Where do we begin? Let's dive in. So I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Sounds great. Well, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
So you're going to have men and women watching this from all around the world. So I'm going to ask you maybe a broader, like what inspiring words would you give everyone around the world? And then is there something special you would add for women?
Wow, that is a big question. Um, I'm gonna go with a favorite Pablo Picasso quote of mine, okay?
Yep.
Which is, inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. And I use that quote a lot. And what does that mean to me? It's like we can be in our heads for the rest of our life about what might be, what could be, what should be, but unless we actually get up into that courage zone and make a move, we got to bust some moves in order to discover who we are and our gifts. So it's that encouragement to make a move even though you're not sure how it's going to look. But if you move toward what makes you come alive, you pretty much can't go wrong. And for women in particular, I would say, don't go it alone. Find your tribe, find a community, find kindred spirit souls who will lift you up, who will encourage you, who will normalize the stuff that we all deal with, and see and speak to your greatness. And that's what I would offer. Thanks for the opportunity to share that.
Oh my God, that was so beautiful. And we all do. I think if every single one of us from the moment we were born, to our teenage years, if someone would have said every day, "Hey, you're amazing. You don't have to be different. You don't have to be like everyone else. Be the difference of you," what that would have created. Because we need to be inspired. We need to also know that what our differences is great. It's not a problem. It's, where most of us we try to do it like everyone else, and it's not going to work. You're not everyone else. There's only one
Oh,
of you. There's only one of you in the whole world. So
yes.
I love that. I love that. It's amazing.
I
So
like to say that we each have a cosmic job description that kind of comes from our essence that
mhm.
was there probably from the very beginning if you look back. Like mine is people experience beauty. Now there's 1,000, 2,000 infinite ways any of our life purpose, our dharma, our cosmic job description can get expressed, but we want to look for ways to get that unique, what we bring to the party of life. Let's serve it up, right?
Wonderful. Deb, it was such a pleasure to meet you. And I'm so excited about you and Hera and different ways that we can collaborate together. So thank you for being here today. And thank you all for being here and watching this episode and meeting Deb and learning even more about Hera City. We look forward to seeing you guys really soon. If you have any questions or if you have topics you want us to talk about as well, go to heracity.org, contact us page, and we'd love to hear from you. So thank you, everyone, and happy holidays, because it's actually going to be Christmas here in St. Petersburg, Russia tomorrow.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.